Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the SUNY Broome College Board of Trustees April 14, 2022 meeting to order. Several board members haven't arrived yet, and we have a very full agenda, so I'm going to skip items 1 through 4 since we don't have a quorum and jump to items 5.1, President's Report. Dr. Drum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. And usually this has already happened, but since my report's coming first, I congratulate our emeritus faculty who are joining us this evening. We miss you all. And you all look great, though, so retirement's got to be treating you well. Dr. Ross Scott, you'll notice, isn't with us this evening. She was off at the EOP, the Educational Opportunity Programs Awards ceremony today. I'm not going to pronounce this properly, but one of our EOP students received the Norman Mckinney Award for Outstanding Academic and Personal Achievement. Damada Oyedrago, I'm not quite sure I'm pronouncing that second name properly. We're very proud of her. And congratulate her on her achievement through the Educational Opportunity Program. While we're on the topic with Dr. Ross, I attended the Men of Color Summit. I think it was a week ago, Saturday at our sister institution, Binghamton University. It was a great event. We had a few students there. There were students from several SUNY colleges. Hosted by BU. They did a great job putting it on. Fabulous keynote speaker who is a news anchor, an Asian male. He noted there are only 3 Asian national news anchors who are male, and had very interesting, fascinating comments. And he brought up what a wonderful community college experience he had. And I was very proud to be in the audience when he was speaking so fondly of his community college experience. And then in the breakout session that I attended, also SUNY Broome specifically was mentioned in very good light on more than one occasion. So I was glad that I got a special invitation to attend. I did, and I'm so glad I did. Carol was one of the organizers, although I got the invitation from the chair of the organizing committee, not directly from Carol, but I'm so glad I attended. Enrollment looking good for summer term. It's actually up. When's the last time you heard me say enrollment is up? And it's not just up above projections. So I'm really thrilled. So that's now, as you know, the spring term was up above projections, actually significantly above projections. And now we're actually up. Hopefully the trend will continue for fall. Applications are currently up. So maybe we have a bit of a trend there. But thank you to our enrollment team and everyone involved with that. And that's a cast of hundreds. The not so great news, but it certainly could be worse. Our budgeted amount from the state, with the budget finally being done, was flat. Unfortunately, it's based on last year to remain flat, which you don't have to be a historian to know is one of the worst years for enrollment in higher education history. Not quite sure what happened. There was support in both chambers to at least move it back a year to the year before last, where that class would have mounted before COVID actually hit. But it didn't happen in spite of support from both chambers. When they get to horse trading in the last week of the budget, we're always, mix my metaphors, we're always a political football in the last week of the budget. And unfortunately, we lost that one. But it's flat. It could have been worse. And we based our budget, our proposed budget on flat funding from the state, because that's what was in the governor's budget. We had Convocation Day on Tuesday, one of the best days of the year. We had a wonderful speaker from Barnard College, a professor who focuses her research on international conflict and hopefully bringing about peace. Just what a timely topic. She was wonderful, wonderful speaker, and always a great event. And it takes dozens of faculty and staff to put that event on. And I want to thank everybody who participated in putting that on. It's just maintenance and facilities for the setup, Marcom for the audio and streaming in this particular case, because we had almost 200 students from around the world, believe it or not. At least one country weighed in with questions, Mexico. Listening to her talk and then being involved in the Q&A about conflict resolution, and she's done research and stuff on the hottest conflict spots in the world for her academic research. Brave lady, originally from Paris, I believe. But what a great day that was. And on another high note regarding an event, I judged our now second annual Chopped competition at the Culinary and Event Center a few weeks ago with 4 student teams, not culinary majors, just 4 student teams. What a great job they did. A number of the dishes could be served in any restaurant that I've ever been in, if it sort of fit their motif for what they would serve. And these are amateur cooks who got together and worked in teams of 4 or 5 to do a appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. And it's really fun to judge those things. If you ever get asked, try to move your schedule around so you can judge a Chopped competition. It's a lot of fun, and the food was great. And that ends my report, Mr. Chair, unless there are any questions. I see we've got at least one more board member who's joined us. I see Tina.
Thank you, Dr. Drum. Any questions for Dr. Drum? We're still short of a quorum, so we'll go to 5.2, Council of Academic Issues. Ms. Roma?
Actually, I think it's John is going to.
It's Andrea.
Oh, it is Andrew. CAI. I'm sorry. I know John, the other, okay, is going to present under academic affairs.
The best of the 2 goes first. Just kidding, John. And we're not related, if anybody was wondering that. So Council for Academic Issues has continued to meet virtually. The spring was not as active as fall, but we did go through feedback in reviewing the draft standards for the academic progress policy, and we did endorse that in March. We should be hearing soon about our SUNY Chancellor's Awards that our local selection committee put forth to SUNY within the next few weeks. So we hope to have that soon. And then our shared governance work group, which is evaluating a restructure of our shared governance, is meeting and coming up very closely to provide a recommendation as to what our shared governance we hope to have look like. We hope to have it look like starting, soon. And then, of course, we always continue to provide feedback regarding campus policies. So short and sweet. That concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Roma. I see Kathy has joined us. We'll go back up to the action items. Can I have a motion for the approval of the March 17, 2022 Board of Trustees meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Kathy.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Item 2.0, approval of the Finance Facilities Committee meeting minutes. I have a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Kathy.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Preferred action item agenda 3.1, recommend approval of resolution for sabbatical leaves. I have a motion.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Kathy. Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Item 4.1, recommend approval of resolutions granting emeritus status. I'm going to go to my big screen here so I can read them as we go through. But I'll have a motion to move this, and then I will read each one.
I'll move the motion, Anthony.
Kathy moved
I'll
it.
second it.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. So I will start. Under SUNY Broome Policy PA 3009, emeritus status, the Board of Trustees grants emeritus status to members of the college professional staff according to specified procedures. The recommended action is that the Board of Trustees approves the resolution granting emeritus status to the following: Catherine Bacon, Michael Kinney, Jane Halapko, Andrew Wade. Jane, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes,
I
you
practiced
did.
it several times.
Yeah, very good.
That's Andrea Wade. Sorry for the
Pardon?
typo. And that was Andrea Wade.
Oh, okay, that's a typo. Andrea, wait, I apologize. I'm going off of the minutes here. So I will read the resolutions. First one for Catherine Bacon. Whereas Catherine M. Bacon began her service to SUNY Broome as an adjunct instructor in the Liberal Arts Division in 1997, as an assistant professor in 2001, and as an associate professor in 2012. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon served as coordinator of the theater from 2001 to 2021 and chairperson of the Performing Arts, Theater and Music for 7 years from 2013 to 2020. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon, her commitment to teaching and learning was recognized when awarded the SUNY Chancellor's Award of Excellence in Teaching in 2008. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon in 2001 produced and directed 42 live productions and 3 virtual productions during the COVID pandemic, including some with collaborators prominent in the field of theater, such as Fahrenheit 451 with Ray Bradbury and The Twilight Zone, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street with Anne Serling in attendance. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon published and presented scholarly work at the Oxford Roundtable, Oxford University, United Kingdom, being awarded an international grant in 2013, and has established article on Eugene Ionesco for great world writers in the college library. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon expanded the experiences of all students by integrating diversity into theater events such as Speak Out projects in 2018, 2019, and 2020 on Afro-American personages and performances of her own playlet of Rosa Parks, and also partnering with nursing department on standardized patient initiatives. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon has served the college as a full-time instructor for 20 years, she played a key role in curriculum development for the theater program, expanded academic standards for the theater course offerings, and served as a beloved advisor, mentor, and role model for the students interested in theater and music. And whereas Catherine M. Bacon mentored other junior faculty and retired in good standing in August 2021, and be it therefore resolved that the Division of Liberal Arts expresses its deepest gratitude for her dedication and devotion for Associate Professor Bacon's long and committed service to SUNY Broome and her profession in the areas of teaching, leadership, academic scholarship, and service to the campus community. And let it be further resolved that Catherine M. Bacon be granted the status of Associate Professor Emeritus of the SUNY Broome Community College with all its privileges. I hereby certify that the foregoing is true and correct. Anthony, as the chairperson. Congratulations.
What a wonderful career. Amazing.
You read that very well.
Would you like to comment at all?
I just have a couple things to say pretty quickly. I know you have a full schedule today.
It's okay.
I'm very honored to accept this, and I thank you all. I guess I am, it's hard to hear all that. I guess I'm most proud of the 45 productions I directed. I just wanted to report that I've just archived all of the productions, and the 75th anniversary gallery exhibit in the library is up again now. And I have archived the 45 shows in three ring binders that are there. If somebody wants to look through, or if you have any former student, if you know students who have been in our shows and want to see, there's a program and a picture and whatever else, thank you notes from students. This was a thrill to put this together, and going back through it all, it reminded me of how many students got helped, even if they weren't theater students, by being in a theater production because of the collaboration. In some cases, I had even forgotten about some of these students. It was over 20 years, but I reread their thank you notes, and some of them, it was the only success they had had to that point in their life. And it just, catapulted them to the next step, hopefully. So I also gave Robin in the archives some posters from Angelo's shows, which I found when I first came to work here, and they were kind of all rolled up and being beat up because in the old days when posters were artwork, were true artwork, okay, and printers used to design these beautiful posters, illustrators. So those are also hanging in the 75th anniversary. The few of them, we had them put on foam core board, and those are there. And now I'm shamelessly going to just promote what was my last production last spring, which was Shakespeare Bits and Pieces, which is still on our YouTube page, and it can be forever because it's our own material, except for the words of Mr. Shakespeare. So if you haven't seen it, the feedback we got was tremendous, mostly because people said they got such, in a 30-minute program, they got such a feel for William Shakespeare and his words, and they're able to take that where they go and sound very erudite without having to ever sit through one of his plays, which some people find it hard to do. So it's still on the YouTube page. It's very lovely. It really literally is bits and pieces. So it's so much more easy to absorb his incredible contribution to the English language and to the world of theater, who's still the most produced playwright in the world. I just want to mention our last live theater show here at the college after years and years from who knows how long ago. There was a live theater production or two every single semester until the fall. 2019 was our last live theater production that I directed, Curtains Up on Broadway, which was from Pulitzer Prize winning scenes and plays. And I just wanted to mention that because we do have the virtual productions, but no more live productions. And so I just wanted to just mention that. I put it out in the focus over and over, but I'm using this opportunity to say it again. I'm a shameless theater person. So anyway, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great. You have a lot to be proud of. Tears of joy.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll read the next resolution. Whereas Jane Halapko faithfully and with honor and distinction served SUNY Broome Community College, the Health Science Division, and the Health Information Technology Program 40 years from 1976 to 2014 as a faculty member, program chair, mentor, trusted colleague, leader, and advisor. And whereas Jane Halapko served as program chair of the Health Information Technology Medical Transcription Certificate Program for 9 years, chair of the Medical Assisting Program for 3 years, and advisor to the Health Information Technology Club for 40 years, imparting her breadth of knowledge to all who call her teacher and mentor. And whereas Jane Halapko's synonymous, I read that, I practiced that word too, but your name is easier. Synonymous with humility and excellence in teaching, always had the best interests of students in mind, serving as a role model, helped them make difficult decisions and treated them with kindness, dignity, and respect. And whereas Jane Halapko served as on a multitude of college committees for many years and worked tirelessly to maintain accreditation, developed and revised curriculum, wrote and secured successful grants to ensure a robust program that met the needs of the students, the Health Sciences Division, and the community. And whereas Jane A. Halapko taught many different health information technology courses and is forever loving dubbed the Queen of Medical Terminology for incredible expertise teaching the language of medicine with professionalism, delightful humor, and enthusiasm. and made significant contributions to developing the first online offering of medical terminology at SUNY Broome. And whereas Jane A. Halapko fostered productive relationships between SUNY Broome and clinical sites and promoted the SUNY Broome community and the Health Information Technology Program wherever she traveled to state, local, and national conferences. And whereas Jane A. Halapko was awarded the SUNY Chancellor's Award of Excellence in Teaching and established the Jane A. Halapko Scholarship for Health Information Technology to help health information technology students complete or advance their education. And whereas Jane A. Halapko truly embodies the word kindness and always showed her deepest appreciation to colleagues for their contribution by always giving a sincere thank you and often personally delivering her special homemade brownies to departments across the campus and other colleagues when traveling. And be it therefore resolved that the faculty of the Health Information Technology Program and the former colleagues of the Health Science Division express their deepest gratitude and appreciation to Jane Halapko for her dedication, mentorship, respect, leadership, and devotion to students, faculty, colleagues, staff, and the wider campus community. And be it further resolved that Jane A. Halapko be granted the status of Professor Emeritus of SUNY Broome Community College with all its privileges. I hereby certify that the foregoing is true and correct as the chairperson. Anthony, congratulations.
Thank you all very much. It's a very big honor and a distinct honor, and I am pleased to say that my 40 years at the college were the best years. I thank the college for giving me that opportunity, and I just want to say thank you. This is an honor, and I treasure it. Thank you.
Jane, thank you. We're the recipient of some of your students, so we say, yay, Jane, thank you.
You're most welcome. It's the best part of my career was going out into the hospitals, nursing homes, doctors' offices. No matter where I go, I see my students.
Yeah.
And Diana was a medical terminology student of mine. So I just, that's the best feeling in the world to know you helped people be successful in their jobs.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So thank you.
Very much.
I'd be interested in knowing more about why you're the queen of medical technology in your terms or your words.
Well, I think they called me the queen of medical terminology because I taught it probably the longest. My full 40 years, I taught medical terminology. So.
What's the funniest term in your mind, Jane?
Well, the longest medical term I used to put up on the board, Diana might remember. Now my mind's gone blank, but
I don't remember what it was, but it was very, very
it
long.
was a long one. It had quite a few word elements in it, Dr. Drum, but I haven't taught it in a while and I'm a little rusty.
Diana will find it in her notes.
Yes, she will. Diana was an excellent student, so thank you.
Excellent teacher.
Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Dr. Drum, I believe Michael Kinney's not with us, but I will still read his resolution.
Yeah, he couldn't be here tonight.
Okay. Whereas Dr. Michael Kinney began his service to SUNY Broome as an associate professor of music in 1983 and as an associate vice president and dean of liberal arts starting in 2012. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney served as chair of humanities, performing, and fine arts departments most of the years from 1985 through 2012. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney's commitment to teaching and learning was recognized when awarded the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching in 1989. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney served as president of the SUNY Faculty Council of Community Colleges from 1995 to 1997. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney had the profound impact on the development of the arts degree in the individual studies, the music program, the physical education program, the sound engineering program, and created over 20 new courses. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney was commissioned by SUNY Broome to compose a hymn for all times for the college's 40th anniversary celebration in 1986 and dedication opening of the Applied Technology Building, as well as And the Spirit Shall Soar for the college's 50th anniversary in 1996. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney authored a college textbook Mastering Music Fundamentals that was published by Cengage Publishers in 2004 and is currently in its second edition, 2022, published by Waveland Press. And whereas Dr. Michael Kinney has authored 9 published choral compositions, and whereas Dr. Michael Kinney promoted academic discourse among teaching faculty through the creation of the Doctoral Colloquia in 2012, and be it therefore resolved that the Division of Liberal Arts expresses its deepest gratitude for the dedication and devotion for Professor Kinney's long and committed service to SUNY Broome and his profession in the areas of teaching, leadership, academic scholarship, and service to the campus community, and be it further resolved that Dr. Michael Kinney be granted the status of Professor Emeritus at SUNY Broome Community College with all its privileges. I hereby certify that the foregoing is true and correct. The chairperson. Congratulations, Michael. And last but not least, whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade served beginning in February 1997 to July 2015 and faithfully served the Medical Laboratory Technology Program, which became the Clinical Lab Technology Program, Medical Assisting Program, the Health Science Division, and the SUNY Broome Community College as a professor, chairperson from 297 through 8 of 08, dean from 8 of 08 through January 1st of 2012, associate vice president / dean from January 2012 through July 2015. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade served and was loyal to students, the academic departments she taught in and developed courses for the Health Science Division, the SUNY Broome Community College honorably and with distinction for 18 years. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade was extremely supportive and an active dean and associate vice president of the Health Science Division by successfully guiding all the health science programs through the SUNY seamless transfer mandate, securing funding for program development through the Decker Health Foundation teaching grants, and provided guidance during the health sciences programs accreditation site visits. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade, as dean and associate vice president, facilitated SUNY Broome's place in inaugural class of open SUNY Power Plus programs, facilitated the adoption of Teaching Resources Center tools to be used by the Open SUNY, and provided leadership, dedication, and guidance to the development of the Open SUNY and expansion of distance learning. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade was an active and founding member of the SUNY Broome shared governance model, including as one of its inaugural co-chairs of the college assembly and the curriculum committee, as well as an active participant in the development of the professional development mentoring process for promotion and appointment. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade was a pioneer and led the team at SUNY Broome in the development of Broome's first massive open online course that is still being offered and benefits students locally and worldwide. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade was awarded the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching and the Sigma Science Research Society Certificate of Recognition Award. And whereas Dr. Andrea C. Wade shared her many hidden talents and enjoyment of life, along with her many responsibilities, to demonstrate the need for balance as the key to success. And be it therefore resolved that her former colleagues from the Health Science Division expresses their deepest appreciation for Andrea Wade's total loyalty, dedication, experience, knowledge, support towards students, faculty, staff, and the SUNY Broome Community College campus. And be it further resolved that Dr. Andrea C. Wade be granted the status of Professor Emeritus of SUNY Broome Community College with all its privileges. I hereby certify that the foregoing is true and correct. Anthony, as your chairperson. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as those who were just honored right before me, I am also very much honored honored by this and appreciate very much the privilege of working alongside so many dedicated faculty members, staff, and administrators at SUNY Broome, having the chance to work not only within the health sciences, but within distance learning, the Teaching Resource Center, and to contribute to the shared governance model, which I heard earlier, as it should be, continues to evolve and grow and change. And I'm excited to hear about that. Wanted to note that one of the things that I got out of SUNY Broome was really to be part of a culture of learning there that goes beyond the students. And I was able to, I always wanted an associate's degree and didn't have one. So after I began teaching there, I was able to earn an associate's degree from SUNY Broome, which I have on my wall. And I want to note that I did take medical terminology from Jane Halopko. And even at this late date, hoping for some extra credit, the word we're looking for is pneumo-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
Yes, that's right.
Point
Very
for
good.
Jane. I also want to say it's a family connection with SUNY Broome. All three of my daughters attended SUNY Broome. Two earned degrees from SUNY Broome, and of those, one is earning a second degree from SUNY Broome this spring, and her advisor, John Roma, is here and was very significant in helping her to earn that this latest degree. And another one of my daughters came back to SUNY Broome as a faculty member and is a current faculty member there. So although I was very lucky to be able to learn so much at SUNY Broome and to continue to contribute after I left the institution, to contribute at the SUNY at a larger level, I have remained connected and very much appreciate the role that SUNY Broome has in the Southern Tier and how it continues to support students in so many ways. And again, very, very honored and touched by this. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for your dedication to the college and the community.
Absolutely. Well done. Congratulations.
And Andrea led SUNY Broome to be the leader in distance learning throughout SUNY. I mean, not just the community colleges. I mean, next, second only to Empire State College, which is a distance university, really led us to be the leader throughout SUNY, way ahead of everybody else.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you again. Thank you to all our emeritus professors. Item 4.2, recommend approval of AA 4006 academic policy. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Kathy.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? So carried. Item 4.3, recommend approval administrative guild labor agreement. I have a motion.
Motion.
Moved by Kathy. Second.
Second.
Second by Tina. All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. We'll go to item 5.3, academic affairs. Dr. Penny Haynes or Gian Roma. I don't know who will be presenting.
Yes, I will get us started, but actually I'm going to take my first spot and let Dr. John Roma, Chair and Professor of Business and Professional Services, talk about the numerous articulation agreements that he's been able to promote.
Doctor of Hijinks. Well, it's nice to meet you all. I'm the chair of the business department. And so we have been working for probably about 6 years. Michael Sullivan, when he came, he talked to me and showed me the demographic decline that we're experiencing in the greater Binghamton area. We knew that, and I saw my department, the business programs department, the enrollment declining. And so there's different ways to handle an enrollment decline. And we decided to really retool our academic product. The AS in Business Administration degree is what I would refer to as our product. And we wanted to make that a relevant product so that students from not only in Binghamton and the greater Binghamton area, but also outside of the Binghamton area we become a relevant institution. And, people in Albany, people in, the Hudson Valley, they're probably not going to come here. They have their own community colleges unless it's relevant for them. So that's the first thing. So what we did was we worked over the past 5 years we worked hard. The department, I have a great department, and they've all been willing to change. We've made the typical associate's degree has 64 credits. We have made over 30 credits worth of changes to our AS and Business Administration degree. To get faculty members to make those kinds of changes is not an easy thing to do. They have to change what they're teaching and what they're comfortable with. So we were able to make changes, and what we based those changes on was we worked closely with Binghamton University School of Management. Katie Collette was their advisor, and we worked and said, basically, what do you want in our degree? And we delivered with what they want. And why that's important, the business in the United States, the largest degree are business related degrees. 19% of all 2- and 4-year degrees are business related degrees. And so what that means is that if New York State has about 1 million students that will be going to college, 2- and 4-year schools, some will be coming into New York State, some will not be coming into New York State. But if 19% of those students are studying business, that's 190,000 students that are a potential target market for our degree. And so in order to even make it relevant to them, we had to create an online degree. And so when Penny got here, she sent me to SUNY Online, and we worked closely together to create and to make this degree an online degree. So students can take the degree, take courses in Albany, in Buffalo, from Binghamton, and it's cheaper for them. They don't have to take it. They don't have to get an associate's. They don't have to take an SAT to transfer to some of the best schools that are in New York, in the country. Some of the best business schools in the country. We have articulation agreements now with. The idea is to make the degree relevant, valuable, and viable, so that and our department has worked hard to achieve I think it's a 0.4 to 1 FTE per section ratio. So we're making money for the college. The degrees is a good degree. So what we've done is last April, Dr. Drum met with Dr. Stenger from Harper, or from Binghamton University, and signed the first articulation agreement into the Binghamton School of Management. So the Binghamton School of Management has about 250 students in total. It's the Rolls Royce of schools within Binghamton University, which is the best and I think the best state school in the New York State SUNY system. And so they're going to accept each year 25 of our students. 10% of their enrollment will be our students, but our students have to achieve a 3.7 or above. They don't have to take an SAT to go there. That's a huge thing. That it's a selling proposition. It's a selling thing we should be focusing on as an institution. We just signed with University of Albany School of Business. All students need to get into that program. One of the best in the country is a 3.0. New Paltz signed 2.75. SUNY Oneonta is a 2.5. We've just received this week from Oswego, who right now is partnered with Monroe Community College, and they're the only business administration degree that SUNY Online is partnering with. All our students have to do is to get a 2.3 to get into that program, the School of Business. SUNY Geneseo, we're very close to signing an agreement with them. SUNY Empire, we have a signed agreement with them. And that's only a 2.0 for our students to transfer into that program. And then lastly, SUNY Buffalo, we're just waiting on 2 signatures for that to be finalized. So what that means is that if you're a student in Buffalo and you don't get in because the SAT requirement for freshmen to get into SUNY Buffalo is a 1360, all you have to do is come to SUNY Broome, and I can't announce what that GPA is going to be, but it's not going to be Binghamton University. It's not going to be a 3.7, and you'll be able to transfer there without having to take an SAT. You just have to get the degree from here. It makes our degree relevant, which expands the size of our marketing footprint. We can go after, so while the Binghamton market is declining, the rest of this, we can now market to the rest of and take our education out of the area. And that's, I think, the key and why these articulation of agreements are important.
Thank you, John. John's done just an amazing job of going out and beating on doors and getting in front of people to really get these articulation agreements. And this is really critical to build our enrollment. So I'm beyond impressed with the work that he's been able to do. And actually, with that in mind, even yesterday, we just got more good news about John's department. One of his very good faculty members who's working really hard on Hvac instruction has received a SUNY award. Not too many people get this. The Faculty Advisory Council on Teaching and Technology has awarded Professor Aaron Fry in the business department, the Community College Instruction Award for excellence. So lots of really good things happening in business. I have a little bit more to report on, but I don't know if you have any questions first for John.
I do. So first, I think it's incredible work, and that's I think your point is right on. It makes it relevant, so it's very clearly able to move on to something. A concern, certainly in the K-12 setting, is they just don't make business teachers at this point. And so you've seen, certainly in the feeder schools that feed SUNY Broome, a whole lot of business classes in high schools have been eliminated, not necessarily because schools don't believe in that. And again, your statistic right on the money in terms of that as a major, but there just are very few teacher prep programs and producing business teachers. Have not necessarily you and the department at SUNY Broome, but in general, thinking about that feeder, that K-12 feeder into business courses. Has there been any talk about that and kind of that shortage of teacher prep in that area?
Well, actually, that's a great question. We actually had a meeting today about fast forward, and there's different ways to look at it. There's because the business administration degree is an AS degree, over 30 credits have to be general education related classes. So a student, that's the beauty of the degree, is you don't have to take a business course in high school in order for it to be relevant to this particular degree. We have created another thing that's unique to this school, a course in self-management that is now, and it might actually be at Windsor, I'm not sure. It's a social science class that is now in, I think, 8 high schools in the area now. And that directly applies to and fulfills a general education requirement for all degrees, not just business degrees. And you're right, but we're working to try and streamline the 2 or 3 courses that we could try to get out into those schools. We do have quite a few schools though that are teaching some courses for us.
Yeah, and I don't think so much about, fast forward and actually business, as you well know, were some of the first fast forward courses. It's more the issue of that sparking student interest in high schools, whether they're earning credits or not. And obviously there's there are benefits to that in the general education, but really, if we don't have business programs in high schools to try to spark the interest in, especially again, you look at this slide with all of the articulation agreements, and that being the path for a lot of kids to some really prestigious programs. But if there's not that interest because there are no programs, it's certainly an area of concern.
Well, I guess there's some different ways to look at it. When I was in high school, I'm glad I graduated from high school, but when I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just started walking forward and thought, let me go out and explore certain things. I do think if they have a good experience with a fast forward class, like the self-management class, which the topic of self-management is themselves, if they can't find that interesting, right? So that is something that might get them thinking, hey, there's something different going on at SUNY Broome. And also get them thinking about how they're interacting with folks at the high school level. So, but I get developing an interest or at that level, that's we can crack that code. I think the idea that there's many things that there's many reasons and there's many opinions about what education should be, and what is the purpose of education, and it's to try to help people realize their unrealized potential. Each of them, that nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to live in a van down by the river, right? They want opportunity, and this gives it to them. It gives it to them clearly relevant. If you would like a career in business, you should go to Broome Community College, because you can transfer to there and get a job coming out. They want employment, and these schools have the best recruiting, business recruiting in New York State. So that's, I guess, the answer, Jason.
Do you have junior achievement, Jason?
Sure. I mean, there are other things, but it's a big concern if there are no business departments in high schools, which is likely to become a reality. There are just very few programs, and it's not the only program, but there are very few graduates of teacher prep programs in business.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is that 19% of all people that go to college study business, and they might not have studied it in high school. I didn't. So that, but I'm not sure how to fix that, the prioritization of funding, and the importance of business education at the high school level.
Yeah.
Any other questions for John? Okay, Penny, you wanted.
Yeah, I just have really, really quick, because as I promised that I would always touch a little bit on the sustainability plan at each meeting. So I have quite a bit in my report, but I thought this was really important to talk about, which is part of our sustainability, was the articulation agreements. Many of you have seen this. I just wanted to remind you of a couple of new things since the last board meeting that we're working on with nursing and our healthcare initiatives. We continue to have our monthly meetings with Lourdes, UHS, and Guthrie. We're now hoping to put together a future MASH camp for next summer. We are developing, and hopefully it'll go through this before the end of the spring semester, the LPN to RN program, as well as a paramedic to RN program, and continuing to work on our non-credit to credit opportunities. And right now, potentially we are participating in a DOL grant with many other schools, which will also work on some of this non-credit to credit, and working on getting new faculty for our expansion, along with the local hospital support. Just wanted to briefly touch on, a couple of months ago, we had Lisa Straley talk about her business education and the partnership with, initially it started with Windsor, and SUNY Broome and Binghamton University. And this was just a piece of, and I'll send this to you so you don't have to read it right now, but this was a piece of an article that was in Binghamton University's magazine talking about the program and very complimentary to SUNY Broome and Binghamton University's partnership. So word is getting out about that and very excited about that. That's the article. You'll have that when we send that out. And then I know I've talked quite a bit about hospitality, but we continue to try, they're continuing to try to build enrollment there. We did give away 15 scholarships from a competition at the ProStar Invitational Scholarship that was held at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. Michael Stamens was down there judging, and the foundation was very supportive and allowed us to provide scholarships to the winners. So if they come to SUNY Broome, they will be able to utilize that scholarship. We're also developing an articulation agreement with all 5 branches of the military. We're working on a potential partnership with Sodexo. Several of the areas where Michael Stamens, the associate dean, has been judging and putting the word out about SUNY Broome. Participating in the STIR. The STIR actually will be having their event at the Culinary Institute on May 1st, working with Visions on a team building exercise, and just got scheduled on May 19th, a special event with Broome Tioga BOCES and DCMO BOCES. Both of those will be sending students to spend the entire day at the CEC, going through classes as if they were a student and participating in our hospitality and culinary programs. And this is just a reminder that we do have the student competing for Chef of the Year. And then I just thought, because we often don't touch on the other piece of our sustainability, which we talked about, building up the engineering and engineering technology. So we had students participating in 3 competitions, which we're very proud of. The Watson Combat Robotics League on April 3rd. The Broome robot was declared the tournament champions, and there's the name of the students, and that Professor Gary DiGiacomo managed that. And then they also participated in the Toyota Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, and Broome wins best fuel economy in the class. Broome had the 2nd fastest time in the autocross and also got the most efficient vehicle. And the last one I'm going to talk about is the National Robotics League competition at Bloomsburg. Broome wins the tournament champions by coming in 1st and 2nd place, and we win the best engineered robot. And there's some of the participants. So some good news in all of the areas of our sustainability plan and the efforts that are going on. And that completes my report, unless anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
Item 5.4, student assembly update. Ellie?
Good evening, everyone. In recent business, we have raised the student activity fee to $200 for full-time students and $16.67 per credit for part-time students. The Club Finance Committee is currently working together with many clubs to supply needed funds. More details are in my report if you'd like that. The food pantry has grown a lot thanks to the donations and continues to be a very key resource for students. We are going to be hosting a fundraiser event in late April to raise more money for that. More details are also in my report. For the first year since COVID, we will also be hosting the Homeless Awareness Sleepout to raise awareness and money for this pressing issue. This is going to be happening in May 4th. In addition to this, we have many upcoming events. If you would like to know about them, they're also down in my report. And to conclude, if anyone needs an excuse to order takeout tonight, you can use the code PR Fund with Panera Bread to support a peer student scholarship with 20% of your order, thanks to working with the Student Philanthropy Committee. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.5, BCC Foundation Report. Ms. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, on behalf of the foundation, congratulate our emeritus award status recipients tonight. I know they've left the call, but great to see so many of our retired faculty, and what a great crew. Really miss them, and it was good to catch up. My report is in the packet, and I'm just going to go over a few highlights. In terms of our financial update, our public support revenue as of February 28th, 2022 was $3.62 million compared to same time last fiscal year of $676,000. And as of February 28th, 2022, the foundation has a total net gain year to date of approximately $2.4 million. Our fundraising activities are well underway, and I want to thank student trustee Elle for the work that she and her peers have been putting in to raise funds to support the peer scholarship. For those that aren't aware, the students every year raise money throughout the course of the academic year to award scholarships to 2 of their peers. We're able to do this year. They're each getting a $500 scholarship, and that's all because of students like Elle and her amazing peers. So I feel like going to Panera Bread up until 8 o'clock. Like she said, it'll go into the fund to help support even more. The magazine is currently at the printer and will be mailed within the next few days. So we're very excited to see this edition. The feature story is the long-awaited grand opening of the Culinary and Event Center, and includes our first highlights of our first graduates of the culinary program. Just a reminder that our alumni reunion weekend is coming up on Friday night, April 29th, and Saturday, April 30th here on campus. Friday night will be at an alumni and faculty, including retired faculty mixer down at the Culinary and Event Center. And we always invite trustees to attend. Elle and her peers will also be there promoting the Student Peer Scholarship and answering any questions that our alumni may have about what it's like to be a student these days. That's a new twist for us this year. Just wanted to let you know that we did receive a partial distribution of a recent bequest that I had mentioned previously, of a bequest of approximately $500,000, which is designated for the nursing program. And we hope to receive the remainder before the end of our fiscal year, June 30. Also, as long as we're talking about estate gifts, this is got another amazing call last week that alumna, a woman who was 87 years old from the local area, who had gone to college here when she was older and pursued and got an associate's degree, made a significant 6-figure bequest to us. And we don't have a timeline or anything on that, but because she felt very strongly that she was able to get a degree here at Broome, even though she was older, she wanted to designate that gift to be in support of need-based grants and aid for students, especially if they were older and needed help with their education. So we're very grateful. As we get more information on that, we'll let you know. And finally, I just want to thank those trustees who have already signed up to participate with campus, including students, faculty, our administration, our alumni, retired faculty from the community, who are coming forth on May 10th at 2 p.m. to participate in the 75th anniversary aerial photo that we're going to take in the quad. And so we're very excited to have representation from our trustees, and hope more of you will agree to join us. We'll reach out with the registration information once again. And I did also just want to always reiterate that we greatly appreciate the financial support that we get in the foundation annually from our trustees. And as you can see and hear some of the great things that are happening here on campus, we just always want to make sure that we let you know about our appreciation. And you'll be hearing from us again before June 30th if you haven't yet made your gift this fiscal year. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy? 5.6 facilities update, Mr. Legakis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You should have my report. I'll be brief. Construction work has restarted on our 21-22 paving project. Most recently, we installed 5 solar-powered flashing beacon warning signs at the most heavily crossed crosswalks on our campus loop road. And we're encouraging everyone, even if you don't need to use the beacons, to press the button to activate them, because the flashing yellow lights will have the tendency to slow traffic down on that loop road. And we've experienced some relatively high speeds. And when you mix high speed and pedestrians and parking vehicles together, it's not usually a good end situation. So those are complete and fully activated. Renovation work has been completed in our financial aid office. We have now moved to the first floor of the student services building, the hallway on the first floor, which will then be followed by the registrar's office and once we complete that work, and this is all being done by SUNY Broome staff, we will have upgraded all of the first floor office space in the student services building. The design agreement for the transition of the water-cooled HVAC system at the library to an air-cooled system has been approved, so design work is underway for that project. We've replaced all the emergency lighting in the Decker Hall stairwells with LED lighting. Importantly, from a board standpoint, at our May meeting, we expect to have bid results for you to approve for work on both our student center roof, the West Gym in particular, and the business building roof. So look for that on the agenda at our next meeting. The Decker Health Sciences Nursing Space Assessment continues to move toward completion and ultimately final design. And we hope to get to contract with that sometime during the next school year. Old Science Student Service bathrooms rehabilitation contracts are underway. The library roof project, which was bid last August, we're still awaiting the contractor to get his material so he can start that work. And right now he expects to receive those sometime in the June timeframe. So that work will begin once he's in receipt of materials. We've got a number of other HVAC upgrades proposed: Titchener, Old Science, Decker Business, and the Ice Center, as a result of capital monies that we will receive from both the county and the state budgets. The photo lab relocation of the Old Science building, design plans for that are being finalized, so that will be going to bid relatively soon, probably within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And the construction of the smoke damper project throughout a number of our buildings on campus will take place once the second semester classes have ended. So with that, I would be more than happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Item 5.7, human resource update, Ms. Fedorchik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, everyone. The personnel report reflects activity for the month of March and is for informational purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. 5.8, budget and finance update, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of just quick updates. In addition to the state approving the operating budget, the state also approved several capital projects that had previously been approved by Broome County. This most significant one was an additional $2 million, $1 million from the county and $1 million from SUNY for phase 2 of the Decker Nurse Expansion Program. So that's a total of $4 million for that nursing expansion project, which we're in the final phase of the preliminary design and estimate of. So we'd expect probably in the fall to go out with bid specs for that project. A couple other capital items that got approved in the budget. State budget was additional funding for information technology equipment, as well as some additional funding for both roofs and some HVAC and road repairs. So we had a very very successful year, both with county support, Broome County support, as well as from SUNY. So the main item on the agenda today is an update to the college's multi-year financial sustainability plan. In your board packet, there is a 2-page report. The first page is the narrative, which Dr. Haynes covered 5 of the 10 primary enrollment and retention initiatives. And she'll continue to provide updates to the board on a regular basis related to those initiatives. Again, the multi-year sustainability plan is a $5 million initiative, half of which, $2.5 million, is to grow enrollment, and the other $2.5 million is to continue efficiency within the college operations. So you might want to refer to the first page of the attached document that you received to just highlights the 10 major enrollment retention initiatives and the 5 primary cost reduction efficiency initiatives. So the PowerPoint is basically the second page, which also provides some historical information. This slide, the first slide, is really an overview of the revenue side of the projection. And just to give brief history, the college has had this multi-year financial projection over the last several years. And it was a particular item of focus by the Middle States when they were here a little more than a year ago. They identified this as a critical document, especially in light of declining enrollment nationally, as well as statewide and regionally. And also in light of the fact that, you know, our accreditation, the college's accreditation, was done in the middle of COVID. So there was substantial financial distress, especially at the community college level. So they had a very strong recommendation to continue having a financial multi-year plan that they strongly recommended be updated at least on an annual basis. In addition, during the college's discussions with Broome County a couple of years ago, there also was expressed a concern, as well as requested updates related to the community college's ability to sustain itself, again, in light of declining enrollment trends, as well as the devastating fiscal impact of COVID, and specifically associated with the fact that the college had received a significant sum of federal stimulus funds that the college was utilizing on an annual basis to primarily offset the loss of revenue, which was the primary purpose of the federal stimulus funds, and in essence was one of the major areas of eligibility to actually be awarded stimulus funds, was primarily to offset loss of revenue. So the county was particularly interested in ensuring that once those funds were utilized over the past couple of years, as well as I'll highlight here, is being projected to be utilized and exhausted over the next couple of years. The county wanted some sense of confidence that the college was going to during the transition of utilizing stimulus funds was going to be able to be sustainable in the future, both on the enrollment revenue side as well as on the cost reduction efficiency side. So, and certainly the college, independent of Middle States and Broome County, certainly from a prudent and fiduciary vantage point, in concert with the board, wanted to ensure a financially viable future for the college. So this first slide really shows, and I'm just going to highlight some of the key assumptions on both the revenue and expense side. Again, you know, the board approved the proposed budget. The first column of numbers there is basically the proposed budget that's been submitted to the county for their review, and then subsequently to the county legislature, most likely during the May committee process. You know, using that as a baseline, as well as the current year's forecasted numbers, which again is in your packet as part of the monthly budget update, as well as a couple of years of actual, which is the hard copy that you have in your packet. That really are those are really the key numbers we utilize to project the 4 years beyond next year's proposed budget. So the major and key assumptions is, you know, and this is really in the last column, the assumptions and comments. You know, the key driver around FTE enrollment, student enrollment, is high school graduation rates, specifically from Broome County and the contiguous counties. And you know, next June, the graduation rate is kind of the last one for the next several years that has a pretty big decline at 7%. But as I mentioned last month, you know, for this coming June, we're anticipating approximately a 2% increase. And after the 7% decline next year, we see again a slight uptick of 1 to 2 to 3% in those out years. So when you average all that, it kind of gets us pretty close to a flat enrollment over this 4-year period. Understanding that high school graduation rates isn't the only driver that we're taking a look at. And certainly this current year's spring enrollment, which, you know, the budget had projected about a 17% decline. You know, the college ended up in the spring term at about a 10% decline. So that was a pretty significant improvement, still a decline, but a significant improvement against both the fall dynamics as well as what the projection is. And the summer, likewise, is actually showing some modest increase compared to last summer, not even a decline. So that summer's not a very big number. It's only about 3% of the total FTEs for the year, but still a good signal relative to potentially what might bode in terms of the next academic year. So at this point, we're just kind of projecting flat, knowing we have a number of initiatives out there, but to kind of take perhaps a slightly conservative approach, budget and finance has factored kind of a flat FTE over the next several years. Likewise, with Fast Forward, we may have kind of matured in terms of the prior year Fast Forward growth in the high schools. It was pretty flat this year compared to last year. So likewise, we've kind of included Fast Forward FTEs as being flat. The key driver really is, how are these FTEs related to the number of courses that we offer? This is probably the most important relationship of probably any organization, whether it's a business or a non-for-profit, is what's that relationship between your expense and your revenue? And really one of the key drivers for any any operation is really your labor relationship to your revenue relationship. And in this case, it's really the section, number of courses, which translates into instructional costs as it relates to those courses generating revenue, which is student FTEs, credit hours. So generally, the college, 10, 12 years ago, its section to FTE ratio was in the neighborhood of 0.70. The higher the ratio, the more costly the cost per FTE that you're generating. So, the target is try to reduce the number of sections related to the number of FTEs, especially over the last 4 or 5 years, where enrollment has declined. The college needs to ensure that the sections are likewise declining in a similar ratio and alignment. And, there's a lot of data that we take a look at related to developing this target, which I may come back to the board next month and provide more detail relative to how this is developed and how it's derived and what other metrics we take a look at. Section to FTE ratio is not the sole metric that we use, but it is the primary one that's used to develop the budget, which is separate and distinct from what the academic division utilizes. They have a number of other metrics, number of other software packages and other comparative data that they use. But I would suggest that the section to FTE ratio highly correlates, highly aligns with other data and other platforms that we also look at to try to best align sections with enrollment. So that assumption, in order to become sustainable, we need to continue to work at being more efficient related to the number of sections in alignment with pretty much over the last 5, 6 years, a declining enrollment environment. On the next, the student tuition, over the past 4 or 5 years, tuition increase has averaged about 3.5% to 4%. So we basically use that average and projected that out over the next 4 years. Likewise, out-of-state tuition, even though it's twice the in-state tuition, you'd use the same inflationary or cost increase at 3.85%. State aid, as was mentioned by Dr. Drum earlier today, there's a new, the legislation that passed basically holds all of the community colleges at what is called the floor, and the floor is basically the current year's actual, which was driven on last year's actual, which is about $13 million. So assuming our FTEs are flat, based on that assumption, then that indicates that our state aid would be flat at 13 million. If our FTEs grow, then there's the possibility of $50 per FTE if there's growth. But based on the assumptions that our FTEs are flat for the next 4 years, in essence, that's why that number stays flat at 13 million. Sponsor share from Broome County, again, past history, with the exception of last year, has averaged about 1% per year. So that's what we've included there. And I just want to note that when you take the state aid at about 13 million and the sponsor share at about 17.8 million, you're pushing almost 21 million, which against a ballpark $50 million operation is, 40% of our revenue base basically is being projected here as being pretty flat. So puts a lot of pressure on student tuition, student fees, and growing enrollment and ensuring that we're as efficient as possible on the expense side. So that's the revenue side of the assumptions on the sustainability plan. If we could go to the next page, this is really the expense side. Again, I've talked about the section ratio. The proposed budget that was approved last month has a section ratio of 60.69. And over the 5-year period, we're looking at that becoming 15% improved from a 0.69 to a 0.60 ratio. And you may have heard John Roma from the business chair talk about his ratio, which was, I think he said 0.41. That's actually the best ratio of the 35 departments within the college. This 0.60 that is targeted is really just the average. The ratios range from, for example, 0.41, 0.42 for the business department, all the way up to probably 2.50 for some of the smaller programs that have labs, as well as a course instruction with a lab, primarily because some of those have 2 sections and some much smaller case, 3 sections. So their ratios end up being a lot higher. But we really are measuring each of the departments really based against 12 years of history of their performance, as well as benchmarking some other community colleges within SUNY related to this ratio. So, and then once the ratio is determined, that really drives a good chunk of the personnel expense, which is next. And again, instructional costs is a major focus point because of this. In the last year, the projection at almost $30 million, approximately 45% of that 30 million is instructional costs. So it's a very critical area to identify what the ratio is going to be targeted at in light of 45% of that total payroll cost is instructional cost. Again, payroll and benefits, it's pretty much the whole discussion because that's 84% of the expenses of the college. So as you can see, fringe benefit is currently at about 52% of payroll. So that's the number we've extrapolated. Going back just for a moment to personnel, net a decline in instructional costs, what we factored for each year in the projection is a net increase of about 2.5%. That's pretty consistent with what the board just approved for the Guild contract, and we basically factored that number over the remaining years. And then much more modest level, capital repairs, renovations, and equipment. We're projecting about a 5% increase. When you look at that projected last year, 26-27 at 1.3 million, just so you know, our total fixed assets are about 127 million for the whole campus. And the general benchmark out there in the business environment and just a financial metric out there is that typically you'd like to invest between 2.5% and up to 5% in replacement and repairs and renovations in the operating budget to your capital assets. Well, as you can see, 1.3 million is just about 1%. So this has been, unfortunately, an area when the college has maintained a balanced budget over the last several years. and tried to get our unrestricted fund balance up to a more reasonable 10%, that sometimes this has been an area that we've deferred maintenance and capital improvements in an effort to balance the budget or to balance payroll costs that exceeded the budgeted ratios over the past several years. So this is an area, in addition to the capital projects that we submit to Broome County and SUNY approval, this is an area that we need to continue to invest in. And finally, contractual is we factored about a 2% increase, really outside of payroll and benefits. This is really the account that has everything else in it: supplies, utilities, contracted services, travel. It's pretty much everything else is kind of bundled into this contractual area. So we have a very modest 2% increase here, which may be perceived as a little too conservative in light of where, at least at this point, inflation has spiked, especially around the utility area, which is pretty close to $1 million of this $7 million number. So we're going to need to monitor that carefully as we implement a number of energy efficiency projects, both in the capital project arena as well as in the operating budget. So the key final number is the second to the last row, HERF federal stimulus funds. Again, the documents that are in your packet reflect that in the current year forecast for the 21-22 fiscal year, we're projecting that the college is going to need about $3.5 million of stimulus money. Last year, the audited results, the college needed $3.6 million of stimulus money. The year before that, which was the first year under the CARES Act, college needed about $2.5 million of stimulus money. So the proposed budget that the board approved last month, we're projecting $2.5 million in order to balance the budget. So then, as you can see, over the next 3 years, about $1 million is needed to balance the budget. And as we kind of get past this, the decline in next year's projected budget with a enrollment decline probably in the 4 to 5% area, once we get out from under that and continue to improve our section to net FTE ratio, we get to the last year projected 26-27 with a very modest remaining balance of stimulus money. That's all that's left in that year of about $350,000. So, the college will budget and finance will continue to update this, most likely twice a year after each of the major semesters. So I'd expect come back to the board perhaps in September, which is really the first time we introduced this plan to the board was last September. This is really our first full update of it. And again, it'll be very important as Dr. Haynes continues to update you on the enrollment retention initiatives, several of which will take several years to get to full fruition, especially areas like pathways and some of the course realignments that will buy the college sufficient time to utilize the stimulus funds to buy the college time to put a number of initiatives both on enrollment and retention, as well as further efficiencies on the cost side for the college to get itself to a place to be sustainable without federal stimulus funds or fund balance into the longer term future, later in this 2028, 29 in subsequent years. So that's kind of a snapshot of the assumptions relative to the sustainability plan. I'd be more than willing to answer any questions that anybody has.
Any questions for Mr. Sullivan? Thank you, Michael. Great job. 5.82 budget forecast, 5.83 budget transfers, 5.84 grant approvals, and 5.85 investment report are just standard and they're in your package. 5.86 student village housing report. I don't see Dr. Ross here. Is that just in a package?
Yes, that's basically a standard report. Monthly mortgage payment was made, and I think the occupancy at housing is in the neighborhood of 205 to 210 and holding steady at that level.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. 5.9 faculty eligible for professional recognition increment. That's in your package. 5.10 media report. Jesse, do you want to add anything?
No, standard articles and links are in the back of your packet. I would say there is an interesting article to check out in there that was posted in the New York Times that talks about culinary schools at community college. It's just kind of a neat thing to look at.
Thank you, Jesse. Can I have a motion to go into executive session? And Diana, did you have Bob coming in with us, correct?
So moved.
Moved by Jim,
Second
second by Kathy. I believe that was Kathy.
was Tina.
Oh,
Tina.
Tina. Sorry, Tina. Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
We're waiting for Diana to give us
Yeah.
access.
Diana, I got put in that room. I was gonna leave, but I got a note and I clicked on it.
Okay.
So I
That's
jumped
fine.
out. I'm leaving, right?
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Diana, Jim made the motion to come out of executive session. Tina seconded it. And looks like we're the only ones on, so may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Jason, second by Tina. Everybody have a great week and blessed Easter. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Easter.
Take care.
Bye.
And Passover. We've got to be around here somewhere.